Hey guys, if you're enjoying this content, if you like what you're seeing on this channel and me talking about different types of subjects and stuff like that, you may be interested in the podcast that I'm producing on Patreon right now. So if you become a Patreon supporter of second level and higher, you get access to the podcast on Patreon. And when you go to higher tiers, you get access to even more content and more podcasts. So anyway, if you're interested in that, just go to the link in the description on Patreon under Natural Gallant Bodybuilding and sign up to become a Patreon. Mountain.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you about a different way of challenging the muscles, which can yield a little bit of fruit. You know what I'm saying? So in bodybuilding, what you're trying to do is attack the muscles from different angles. You're trying to hit the different fibers. You're trying to challenge the muscle in a way that forces it to grow and adapt. And although there may be some techniques which you prefer, it's good to deviate outside those techniques from time to time just to see if the body is changing or now responding to something different than it was responding to before, because your body is in constant flux. There's always a new change or a new thing that's going on. So it is good to try different ways or different techniques. Now, there's a bee in here. Yeah, I see you. Okay, get out of here. Okay, go on, yeah. Now, the standard way that I usually train, and a lot of people train in bodybuilding, is that we're trained into the intensity method, as far as taking a set into as deep a failure as you can in order to create a switch in the muscle, a metabolic switch where the body says, okay, I have to adapt because this moment that I've created in this environment of pain and suffering and limitation has told the body that it has to get stronger in order to become better at pushing through this particular situation. So there are a lot of different signals that you send the body during a failure set, right? There's the whole not enough energy signal. There's the muscular breakdown signal. There's the nervous system's inability to fire the muscle one more time. So there's lots of different ways that you are challenging the system, or at least communicating with your body to say you must grow. But one way that you might be missing out on with this method is just the sheer amount of work done in a day on a certain muscle group, right? So say there's a certain amount of muscular damage done for every repetition you do. One could argue that if muscular damage is the signal that you want to send the body, if the body responds to that, then getting in a certain amount of work or volume through a lot of repetitions can send a signal that the body needs to get prepared to be able to deal with that workload again. And this is where German volume training enters the picture, or a type of training where you're not necessarily focused on intensity, but you are focused in getting in more reps or more repetitions under the bar, as opposed to hitting, like, say, failure in 5 sets. You'd be saying, hey, I want to basically get twice the amount of reps in a workout, but how I have to do this is by resting and doing a lot more sets or a lot more time under the bar. But the whole point is that you're trying not to metabolically hit failure. You're trying to basically make sure that the muscles are always grinding out with that weight, but not the energy or glycogen production in the body being the weak link, right? So you're trying not to send that signal at that point. You're saying, I just want that muscular damage that's done whenever I get under that weight and I do it repeatedly. There's a certain amount of muscular damage that's just done for every rep, right? So what I did today, for instance, is I took a weight that I could easily get 25 or 30 reps with, and I did sets of 15 to 20 reps for about 11 sets for squats. So I was doing squats, and you notice that around the 5th or 6th set, your legs start to feel a little jelly-like. So because of this, what happens is that you notice that there's a certain type of stimulation that's given to the muscles, but it's not necessarily the heart rate going through the roof. It's not necessarily like you're out of breath and you're trying to get energy, but you are noticing there's a certain type of muscular burden that's going on, or muscular breakdown. And because of this, what happens is that is a form of stimulation where the body's saying, hey, I have to be ready to be able to do this amount of work next time. So bodybuilding is kind of like playing with different ways of challenging the muscular system. And although energetic production can be one way of challenging it, or just the intensity of hitting absolute failure, Another way is just grinding out a sheer amount of repetitions, right? Some people refer to this as volume through weight, and I've talked about this before where I measure volume differently, assuming that you're giving the same amount of effort, but I do measure volume differently. I don't feel like just adding up the pounds at the end of the workout is a real accurate way of measuring volume, because once again, the quality of volume also plays a different burden on the body. So lots of different variables. But in the end, what I'm saying is, say you usually do 5 sets of something and you hit failure and you notice I just can't go anymore because I've burdened my body, the energetic resources are just burned out. So you do like 5 sets of 20, 25 reps on the squat or something like that, and you're just like burned out. One could say you got about 125 reps or 120 reps on the squat, right? Well, sure, your reps would come down and whatever, but just for argument's sake, say you got 120 reps. Well, say you did the same weight, but you only did about 10 or 15 reps per set instead of 20 or 25. So you were making sure you weren't hitting absolute failure, but then you doubled the amount of sets because you could keep showing up and keep on doing the repetitions because you're not necessarily hitting a metabolic failure. There is a certain amount of volume that you'd be able to hit with the body, which would be, higher, right? You'd basically be doing 15 to 20 rep sets instead of 25 or 30 or whatever. And basically what you would be doing is getting about 25 to 50 more repetitions in a workout, right? Depending on how you work it out, right? For me, I could have easily done sets of 30 reps, 25, 30 reps with a given weight. But if I would have done that, about the 5 rep mark, I'd feel like puking, right? So basically what I would do is lower down the amount of reps or intensity by about 20%, and then I could continue and do about double the sets almost because I wasn't hitting that wall, and therefore I accomplished a lot more volume by the end of the workout, right? So yeah, I mean, that's another way of hitting things. So this is another way of stimulating the body. You use a little bit less weight than usual. You stop 5 to 10 reps short of failure, saying you're doing 15 or 20 rep sets, and then you do about 10 sets or something like that and see how this feels different on the body. And this might be a way that you can blast through a plateau by constantly immersing yourself in an environment but not burning yourself up energy-wise. So yeah, I hope this helps out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Mountain. Natural Gallant.